Afternoon, everyone. This is Dana Dozai. We're going to get started in just a few minutes, just giving it a little bit more time to let a few more people join. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, good afternoon. My name is Dana Dozai, and I'm the education consultant. I'm an education consultant with the Louisiana Department of Education Division of Nutrition Assistance. And today we will discuss the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. So we'll begin with an overview of the program, funding and expectations for participating schools. Next, we'll cover allowable and unallowable reimbursement costs. From there, we'll move into procurement, claims for reimbursement, and food safety guidelines. We'll conclude the training with a look at nutrition education and record keeping. So a little bit about the program. The Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program began as a pilot program authorized as part of the 2002 Farm Bill. The pilot was intended to identify best practices for increasing fresh fruit and vegetable consumption among students and to determine the feasibility and student interest. By 2005, the pilot program was operating in 14 states and several Indian tribal organizations. In 2008, the Farm Bill converted the pilot program into the nationwide Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. Schools are to utilize the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable funds to provide fresh produce to students at no cost. Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program is a grant program administered at the federal level by USDA and Food Nutrition Service, and at the state level by the Louisiana Department of Education Division of Nutrition Support. Remember the phrase, you don't know if you like it until you try it. The Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program is designed for children to learn about and taste fresh produce in its original raw form. It can take up to 15 exposures to a new food before accepted. Pair old favorites with new produce. The key to the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program is variety. So children are introduced to different fruits and vegetables and can expand their palate. The program currently operates in all 50 states and continues to grow every year. Currently in 2025, Louisiana has 44 sponsors and 160 sites. Operates as a reimbursement model. Therefore, grantees must expend their own funds and then submit a claim for reimbursement to the Louisiana Department of Education. Since many of you are returning sponsors, you know that you already meet the basic eligibility requirements to participate. Schools must be an elementary school with 50% or greater of children eligible for free and reduced price benefits. Schools with the highest free and reduced price enrollment will be given priority. There also must be documented support from the food service manager, principal, and superintendent. The Louisiana Department of Education also reserves the right to remove a school from consideration when the school fails to meet the deadline for application completion, the school does not have the support of its administration, there is concern with the school's administration of another child nutrition program. That could be child and adult care food program or the school lunch program, are a few of the examples. And if a school cannot properly operate the fresh fruit and vegetable program despite previous support and technical assistance offered from the Louisiana Department of Education. Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program is funded on the federal fiscal year, October 1 through September 30th of each year. So it's a little bit different than school lunch because school lunch is on the state fiscal year, which begins in July. So the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program starts in October 1 and ends September 30th. Initial award letters for the 25-26 year will be emailed to the superintendent and authorized representative listed in our Child Nutrition Program website in the next few weeks. Total grant awards are calculated based on a per student allocation between $50 and $75. Please keep in mind that unspent funds are returned to USDA, which is something that we do not like to do. Underspending funds will likely lead to a decrease in your per student allocation for the following year. For example, it could mean going from $60 a student to $55 a student. Please also remember that it is required for all fresh fruit and vegetable sponsors to complete the annual online application via the Child Nutrition Program website. The 25-26 application should be available to everyone towards the end of next week. The Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program is intended for elementary school age children and is an invitation-only program. Any child who is considered a member of the awarded school and who is present during operation of the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program may participate. This includes children that attend a child care center, Head Start program, or a split session kindergarten, if they are enrolled in that participating school. Teachers responsible for serving the fruits or vegetables to their students are also encouraged to participate and taste the produce alongside their students to model positive eating habits. Other adults at a school who are not directly involved in the program may not participate. Keep in mind that no additional fresh fruit and vegetable funds will be provided for teachers. Please also remember that schools outside the awarded school cannot be offered the fresh fruit and vegetables. And in this program, there is no point of service. Schools have the flexibility to determine the best serving method, time, which is during the school day, and location for the fresh fruit and vegetable program. So during the school day, what exactly does that look like or mean? It means that it cannot be after the school day ends and should not be during or in conjunction with students' access to their lunch, breakfast, and supper service times. The fresh fruit and vegetable program cannot be served as part of summer school sessions. It may be served once a day for smaller schools or multiple times during the day for larger schools or schools with several buildings on campus. You may also plan and offer staggered times and/or locations to help ensure students have access to their fresh fruit and vegetable snack times. Again, there is no point of service. Students can receive multiple servings. Again, there is also no serving sizes required in this program. Sending food home. The fresh fruit and vegetables must be served on location and must be served during school hours. There are several ways that fresh fruit and vegetables can be distributed to students and teachers. Each school will choose the practices that best suit their building and students. The distribution of fresh fruit and vegetables should be consistent with the school wellness policies. Some fresh fruit and vegetable schools have found classroom delivery to be the most successful method because it fits into the classroom schedules with little learning interruptions. So what can be offered as a fruit or vegetable? Allowable items include any fresh produce variety. You may serve cooked vegetables and prepared dish, such as salsa, once a week. However, it must be accompanied with nutrition education. Dips may also be served, but only with vegetables, and the dips must be low fat, non-fat, and in 1 to 2 tablespoon servings. As a reminder, the intent of the program is for students to connect with the taste of natural, minimally processed fruits and vegetables. So what may not be offered as a fruit or vegetable? Items shown on the slide are from USDA and is intended to be a guide of items that cannot be offered. Many of the foods listed on this slide are nutritious, but also common items and do not adhere to the program goal of introducing children to new and different varieties of fresh fruit and vegetables. For example, smoothies, even when made with fresh fruits and vegetables, because the produce is no longer in an easily identifiable form. Most non-food items, except those allowed under administrative or operational costs, are also not allowed. If you have any questions about what fruits or vegetables to purchase for the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, you can always contact the Louisiana Department of Education for additional guidance before making your purchases. So we have just discussed what fruits and vegetables are allowed in the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. So let's talk about some best practices for menu planning and portions. Purchase pre-cut and/or whole produce items and prepare grab-and-go portions. The suggested portion size is 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup. May offer a taste portion for new items. Serve the same type but different variety of fruits or vegetables, meaning different apples, oranges, or melons, or different tomatoes, carrots, or leafy greens. Remember, make the offerings appealing and fun. So meal accommodations for students with disabilities. The same rules apply as with the National School Lunch and School Breakfast Program. For students with disabilities that prevent them from consuming fresh fruits and vegetables, a school must provide accommodations for these students within the constraints of their medical condition, as allowed by their physician. A diet prescription signed by a recognized medical authority does have to be on file. The school food authority should make both the parent and the child's physician aware of the program in order to determine which items are acceptable choices for modification. For example, some items may need to be cooked and are pureed. The parent and physician should select what is suitable. So how to keep the fresh fruits and vegetables safe for the children to eat? Fruits and vegetables are an important part of a healthy diet, and as we emphasize the importance of serving and consuming fresh produce within our schools, we must ensure produce safety is a top priority. To prevent the contamination of fresh produce, food safety strategies must be implemented during all stages of the process. That goes from purchasing from reputable suppliers to training your staff, all the way down to the end of service. If any leftovers are available, how to document those leftovers either for future use. We'll talk more about handling leftovers in the next slide. So as with other school meal programs, plan to reduce waste. Follow your local board of health and local public health department guidelines for handling leftovers. If you cannot easily use the leftovers in the fresh fruit and vegetable program, you may be able to use them in your school meal programs, but only to avoid waste. Plan to use the fresh fruit and vegetables purchased with the fresh fruit and vegetable funds as part of the fresh fruit and vegetable program. So again, handling leftovers, consistently encouraging students to be good tasters and trying new foods as part of the nutrition education activities. Offering extra portions to any student who requests it, increasing the planned portion size or adjusting amount ordered, and reminding teachers and staff providing the fresh fruit and vegetable program that they may participate in testing. So you've been issued a grant award. What can you spend this money on? Fresh fruit and vegetable program expenditures are broken into two categories: operating cost and administrative cost. Both categories allow for labor and equipment cost. However, there are slight differences between the two. Operating costs include costs for running the program, such as preparation and service, in addition to smallware purchases. Administrative costs include costs for planning, oversight, and management, in addition to large equipment purchases. Administrative costs cannot exceed 10% of the school's total allocation. So administrative costs would include planning the program, managing paperwork, and again, large equipment purchases or leases. Any school requesting fresh fruit and vegetable funds for equipment must provide justification for that equipment. The justification should include an explanation on why additional equipment is needed and why the current equipment is not sufficient. The extent of the program, for example, how many days a week the program is being offered at the school, and any other information that would support the request for additional equipment. Please remember that if the equipment may be used in other programs, you must prorate the cost of the equipment among all programs that will use it. Along with the equipment justification, schools must also include percentage for the fresh fruit and vegetable program and make sure to only claim that portion directly associated with the fresh fruit and vegetable operations. Operational costs are those costs of running your fresh fruit and vegetable service. You can include buying, preparing, and serving fruits and vegetables, low-fat, non-fat dip for vegetables only. Buying non-food items like napkins, paper plates, serving bowls, and trays, cleaning supplies, and trash bags. Value-added services such as pre-cut produce and salary and fringe benefits for employees who are involved with preparing, distributing, setting up, restocking, and cleaning up the fresh fruit and vegetable program. Also, operational and administrative labor costs should be reported in the claim month for which the hours are worked. The labor that is reported must include the hours worked during the fresh fruit and vegetable program for that month multiplied by the rate. The pay rate does include the benefits. So procurement is a multi-step process for obtaining goods, products, and or services at the best possible price. For the fresh fruit and vegetable schools must follow proper procurement procedures. The Buy American requirement in the National School Lunch Program also applies to purchases made with the fresh fruit and vegetable program funds. Produce such as bananas, which are generally not available as a domestic product, may be purchased even though they are not domestic. Schools needing additional guidance on specific purchases and how an item would be affected by the Buy American provision should contact their state agency for assistance. Also, formal procurement methods must also be followed where applicable. So how can you check your balance in the Child Nutrition Program website? So in order to check your balance, you would log in using your login user ID and password, the same that you use for the school lunch program. You click on the blue Fresh Fruit and Vegetable tab. You click on Claims, and then you would click on View Claims, and then Cite Funding Limits. This will give you a list of all of your schools, as well as the funding limit and the year-to-date funding and your balance. So it's really important to check this periodically to see how, if you maybe need to spend more money or, just to kind of budget yourself. So it's very important to check this periodically throughout the year. It's great to use as a budget tool. The fresh fruit and vegetable claim for reimbursement must reflect invoices for when you buy, not for when you serve. If you make a purchase towards the end of the month and the food isn't served until the next month, the claim must list the correct invoice date. Claims are submitted by site and reimbursement must be submitted within 60 days following the close of the claiming month. Keep in mind, this is 60 days, not 2 months. If you have to make an adjustment to your claim, the adjustment must also occur within the 60 days of the close of the claiming month. General administrative or central office costs may not be claimed. So here are some budgeting tips. Develop a budget for each school and monitor throughout the year. Communicate frequently with staff to avoid over or underspending. Conduct a mid-year review of spending and adjust accordingly. Track carefully to make sure you do not exceed your allocation. And verify the fresh fruit and vegetable program labor is efficiently being tracked and claimed. So fresh fruit and vegetable schools must actively advertise the availability of the program. It is a requirement and is a question if you are up for review, administrative review. You should promote the fresh fruit and vegetable program on monthly menus that are sent to parents. Publicize the program during morning announcements. Add a monthly newsletter that addresses nutrition education and the benefits of fresh fruit and vegetables. And also display posters throughout the school advertising the fresh fruit and vegetable program. Consider allowing students to design and create the posters. Also, one thing to remember is that anything that you send home with parents, or if you post menus at your school, it always needs to have at least a short version of the current non-discrimination statement on it. So let's talk about record keeping. A successful fresh fruit and vegetable program can be characterized by several attributes. Some of these include having standard operating procedures on file, completing training for staff on performance expectations and established SOPs, being organized and keeping files that contain policies and procedures, your site application and contact information for each school, invoices and purchase order information, monthly claims, and vendor, local supplier, or form contact information. Nutrition education is a very important factor in the success of your students of your school's fresh fruit and vegetable program and is required on days when a cooked fresh vegetable is offered. However, the fresh fruit and vegetable grant funds may not be used for nutrition education and/or promotional items. Please utilize the free resources listed on this slide. Again, here is some more additional resources. For example, the USDA Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Fact Sheet, and also a link to a couple of the memos. As always, if you have any questions, you may contact the state agency at 225-342-9661 or by email to childnutritionprograms@la.gov. We would also love to hear any feedback regarding this and all of our trainings. Please feel free to reach out anytime. We will now stay on the line if anyone has any questions. Please enter them into the chat box. Okay, so I'm not seeing any questions come through. Also, this presentation will be posted to the Louisiana Fit Kids within the next few days. Hope everyone has a great afternoon, and please contact us again if you have any questions. Thank you.
I think there are 3 questions in the chat.
You have questions in the chat, Dana.
I'm sorry, I have a question if you can.
Okay, yes, I see the questions. What is the deadline for completing the fresh fruit and vegetable application? Um, we haven't set a hard deadline yet, but as soon as the website is opened, which should be at the end of next week, we'll also include the application due date at that time on the memo. I also see another question. It says, I don't see a link for the September claim. If you don't see a link for the link for September claim, that means that you probably need to go into your application for 2025 and make a revision and select the dates in September that you operated and then submit it for approval. Once that gets approved, then you should be able to create your claim for September. I hope that helps. Another question is, all labor for staff is only in addition to regular hours. Yes, that's correct. Okay. Ms. Miller, think you're with Iberville. Are you saying you still don't see the September claim month? I can touch base with you after the call. I can give you a call and we can walk through it together. Is there any other questions? And again, next week, we'll send out a memo with, once the website opens, and it will include the due date for the application. Okay, again, thanks everyone for joining, and if you have any questions, just always give us a call. Thank you.